The Republic of Indonesia, Southeast Asia's largest economy and the world's largest archipelago, comprised of about 17,000 islands spanning over 5,000 kilometers along the equator between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Indonesia has been a hub of international trade since at least the 7th century, attracting traders and foreign powers with its abundant natural resources. Home to 243 million people speaking 583 languages and dialects, Indonesia is the world's fourth most populous country behind China, India, and the United States. It is the third largest democracy and is home to the world's largest Muslim population. Once an underdeveloped agrarian economy and then one of the countries worst hit by the 1997 Asian financial crisis, Indonesia has recovered to become the world's 15th largest economy. Having weathered the recent global financial crisis better than its fellow G20 countries, Indonesia's economy has been growing at about 6% per annum in recent years, thanks in large part to a combination of domestic consumption, an emerging middle class, and productivity improvements, the latter of which has accounted for more than 60% of the country's economic growth. Fueled by its young population, the strong consumption habits of its expanding consumer class, its rapid rate of urbanization, and its natural resource wealth, that boom is expected to continue, allowing Indonesia to pass countries including Germany and the United Kingdom to become the world's 7th largest economy by 2030. By then, its consumer class of 45 million will have added an extra 90 million people, creating a customer base larger than any other except China and India's, while its demographic ensure that 70% of country's population will remain of working age in the next 18 years. By 2050, Indonesia is tipped to be the world's fourth largest economy, behind only India, China, and the US, with a GDP of $14 trillion by purchasing power parity. Its rate of growth throughout that period will be the 8th highest in the world, making Indonesia one of the planet's key growth generators. Today, the Indonesian economy boasts 55 million skilled workers, with the 53% of the population based in cities accounting for 74% of the country's GDP. The Javanese cities of Jakarta, the capital, and Surabaya, the second largest city, stand as the country's economic powerhouses. But with urbanization increasing at a rate of 1.7% each year, other cities such as Medan and Pekanbaru in Sumatra, Bandung on Java, Pontianak and Balikpapan in Borneo, and Makassar in Sulawesi are becoming increasingly important players. More than 80% of the country's GDP will come from urban areas by 2030. Already, property prices in the tourist mecca of Bali and Jakarta are undergoing some of the highest rates of growth internationally, ranked 4th and 5th on a list of the world's hottest property markets. Average prices rose about 15% on the previous year, placing them ahead of cities such as London, Moscow, and Beijing. The world's largest palm oil producer and tin exporter, Indonesia also produces gas, plywood, textiles, and rubber, exporting to key markets of Japan, Europe, the United States, Singapore, and China. Indonesia is on its way to becoming one of the world's most important economies. Invest today for a stake in its success. TMF Group, jangkauan global dengan pengetahuan lokal. Global Reach, Local Knowledge.